Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and my first game from the ongoing Advance Wars Quack Cup just finished, and I really want to show it to you guys because I had so much fun with it. The Quack Cup is a ongoing tag team tournament that is currently ongoing over at Advance Wars by Web, and I just gotta give huge kudos to the developers for organizing this tourney. This is what I love. Wacky, crazy tournaments with insane rules. All about fun. Kind of throwing balance out of the window. I absolutely love it. I know some people don't like this. They're like, oh no, I gotta go play my 500 game on A Hope Forlorn, Olaf Mirror. Like, sure, you know, that's fine, but I'm just gonna be over here with my fun games. Thank you very much. I don't really care that much about balance. There's no money on the line. It's just bragging rights and trophies. So, like, who cares? Let's have a little fun. So, hope to see more of this. In fact, I hope to see a lot more tag team action in the future. I, myself, will be hosting a tag team tournament next month. I'm super excited about it. I think it's a format that has been largely unexplored in competitive Advance Wars, and now it seems to start to make its way into the metagame, which is really cool. Now, of course, just a quick reminder, in case you think this is like tag team battles from Dual Strike, it is not. There's no tag team or a Dual Strike, no tag breaks. You can only tag back and forth between the COs, but this still opens up a lot of strategy, because in this particular round, Tier 0 COs are actually unbanned, at least in the main CO slot. And this really opens up like a lot of cool strategies, because COs can complement each other. You know, that you can have unique strategies based on various synergies. It's just incredibly cool. And I'm going to start off by talking about my opponent's team right here. When I saw this one, I really scratched my bald head a lot. I was like, what's going on here? Colin Sensei, what's up with this tag, right? And so I had to actually go to my Grandmaster Discord, and I asked some of the members there. I was like, hey, what's up with this? Can you guys explain this one to me? And some of them told me that this is actually a really solid pair-up right here, because as we've seen in the past, Colin is an absolute terror in high funds. I've showcased several games on the channel showing just how scary he can get. He is far more scary than Hachi in high funds if he is allowed to accumulate enough funds. He eventually gets to a point where he just gets more money than he can spend, and then he fires off those insane power of monies that just allows him to wipe the entire board. So, why Sensei though? Well, Sensei acts as the roadblock between you and Colin. Sensei is there for two reasons: to spawn infantry units for Colin to hide behind, and also to make use of Colin's incredibly cheap battlecopters. On Viridio Aqua, the map we're playing on today, you can build 2 battlecopters per turn. Colin builds them very cheaply. When he tags over to Sensei, not only can Sensei flood the map with infantry to help keep Colin alive, but those battlecopters, which are normally pretty weak, becomes basically mini bombers. 50% extra firepower, 75% extra firepower during a CO power. It is absolutely insane. So Colin is the win condition. He just needs to stay alive until like turn 15, at which point it's impossible to kill him. Sensei is the roadblock that prevents you from getting to Colin. So you don't really want to spend a lot of time as Sensei. You mostly just want to stay as Colin, get that cheap discount, build up your forces, and then when you feel pressured, tag over to Sensei, flood some infantry out, tag back, basically. So that's how you want to do it. So when I saw this, I knew, oh boy, I gotta end this map quickly, because this is a very, very scary win condition right here. You don't want to let Colin survive past like day 15 on a high funds map. You will lose. So me, on the other hand, I decided to go a bit of a different route. Ignore the fact that it says come by here. I was finally able to fix my Hachi card was a little bit broken. It said that his merchant unit was like 3 stars. And then for some reason, I guess my designer just forgot to put the name. So it says come by, but we'll fix it later. So I'm playing Hachi Eagle, and this is not a combo that I came up with. I just spectated a bunch of games, and I saw that a bunch of high-level players picked this combo, and I think it's a really broken one, because what does Hachi do? Well, he floods the map with units, and then what does Eagle do? He gets a double turn. So the idea is you play as Hachi, you get a merchant union out, you hit like 60 units, you tag over to Eagle, lightning strike, you win the game. Against this particular CO matchup though, Colin Sensei, I think that I need to win in 1 lightning strike. If you don't win in 1 lightning strike, you're probably dead. So this actually ended up being kind of like an aggressive versus defensive kind of matchup, which is the ones I really like a lot. Map we're playing on here is Viridio Aqua. I talked about it before, so I'm not going to repeat myself too much, but it's a very slender map. Base race on the side right here. Airports, seaports, you can see battlecopters, bombers, tons of Push everywhere. Artillery also super strong for this particular matchup. It's kind of crazy. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I think it's time to start. Now, I will say one thing about this particular replay. It's a little broken, sadly. I don't really know what happened. I tried to ask some of the developers over at Monsters by Web. First of all, we don't have any like buy sounds, which I'm not really sure what's going on there. But it also doesn't show when we tag over. Like normally it shows like Mangs made a tag, but it doesn't show that in this replay. And also, for some reason, turn 10 is gone. It skips turn 10 on my opponent's side. It's not a super crucial turn, but it's still weird that it does that. So I'll just make sure to tell you guys when it happens. So anyway, my opponent here, Big Joe, I didn't even show him off. I'm really sorry about that. I can only show his rating because if I go onto his profile, it'll spoil the match. But my opponent is 1137. Pretty strong player, almost 1200. High boot record. I was kind of worried he was going to drop from this match, but, you know, spoiler alert, he didn't. But yeah, opening over Radio Aqua is pretty cookie cutter. There's not a lot of room for variation there. I think most people have really figured out the openers for this map. It pretty much is simple capture mechanics. Just go for the gray cities within your reach. There's a little bit of like disparity. Like, do you go for this property first? Do you go for this property first? Or this property? Like, it's pretty simple, really. But I actually do something kind of dumb here, if I remember correctly. Did I already do it? I think this turn I tag over to Eagle by accident. If I'm not, or did I already do it? Let me double check here. Yeah, I completely missed that. So here, the reason I'm Eagle this turn is because when you play tag matches, you have two end buttons. You have tag and end. And the tag one is on the right side. So I just clicked it instinctively, which means I spent a turn as Eagle. I was kind of worried about that because I want to stay as Hachi as long as I can because of that 10% discount. But I accidentally tagged over to Eagle and I was like, God damn it. I hope that won't mess up my opener. So my opponent opens up artillery. Oh my god, Big Joe. He builds so many artillery this matchup, which is fine. As Colin, that's fine. You do want to spam indirects as Colin because he needs it. But here, I actually decided to go for a bit of a cheeky opener. I go day 3 Bomber. I was able to afford it thanks to Hachi's discount. And so there are many reasons why I decided to go with this Bomber. I knew that it would make my opponent spam Antire like there's no tomorrow. But I actually want that because my game plan is here. I know I'm up against the Stolicio. So I want to rush this base quickly. Because Colin, he should, in theory, be slower at taking this base than me. So my idea is build Bomber, force Antire, spam tanks. Apply tons of pressure to this base right here, take it before he can take mine, and then win by initiative. That was basically my game plan right here. So I figured an early Bomber was a good way to pressure him. Not only is this something I can do playing as Hachi, but it takes him a while to capture this airport and get a fighter out. Meanwhile, he has to build a bunch of Antire here. And you'll see that is exactly what ends up happening. He has to build 2 Antire, one here and one here, because if he doesn't build it here, I can go north and start harassing his units over here. So I think this early Bomber was actually a pretty smart move. It's something that definitely forces my opponent to stay on his toes. Again, Antire are not very good on Verde Aqua because of the limited landmass and lots of forests and mountains. So you want to really get those here units out quickly, and the Bomber demands a response. And immediately I follow it immediately up with 2 tanks, right? So, again, my idea is force out Antire, spam tanks, basically try to punish that as much as possible. So I build a T-Copter because I want to try and get this city right here at 609. Because as Hachi, if you can get this city, pop Merchant Union, you now have an artillery locking down the opponent's base. And my opponent was insanely good at interrupting captures. Like, he interrupted captures all game, which is what you need to do against Hachi, because against Hachi, every potential city becomes a base, right? So you need to, or every city becomes a potential base. So you need to interrupt, you need to actually sack units to interrupt against Hachi. The more you can interrupt, the better. So here I'm already applying a lot of pressure. I was surprised he didn't build a second Antire, but he needs some tanks to answer my own tanks, so. And I also made sure the Bomber covered the infantry in case he wanted to interrupt this. And my opponent did something kind of interesting this turn, actually. As I have to build an artillery here because you need at least 1 artillery to take this base. Because if you just have tanks, they just build like a medium tank or a mega tank and you're screwed. So you need artillery in addition to the Bomber to take the base. So here, Big Joe actually interrupts. He sacks the Anti-Air to interrupt, which I thought was very interesting. So, but it makes sense because he has an artillery on the way, and he plans to put the artillery here to lock down the city. So, I will, of course, kill the bomber, or kill the Anti-Air, but he will then pretty much deny me from taking the city all game, which is definitely worth it. I mean, it's high funds, it's worth 2,000, and it becomes a potential base during Merchant Union. So, I think this is actually fine. So, he played really well. And he was playing pretty cheekily in the middle, too. Like, he was making sure to really, like, he's going to build a second Anti-Air. So he builds a lot of Anti-Air. Look how many, he has to build 4 Anti-Air to counter 1 bomber. That is kind of crazy. Like, I'm very, very happy with this early bomber buy. I think it beautifully forced him to play in such a way that was very uncomfortable for him, which is what you want. Now here, I know he's building battlecopters. That's fine. It's fine. He can build battlecopters. I'm still going to try and get the city, though. And I'm also gladly going to accept that free Anti-Air. It's not really free, because it pushes my bomber out of the middle, which eases pressure on him. But it's like a free Anti-Air. I figured, why not, you know? And honestly, I shouldn't have sent the infantry up, because next turn, he's going to lock down the city. So, this city is lost. There's no way I'm getting it at this point. No way. Not unless I want to, like, build a Neo tank and send it up north here. And I really want to pressure him in the center now. So this city is lost. There's no point in trying to go for it any longer. And at this point, I'm just building mostly cheap units, because I am building up for that eventual lightning strike. So I want a high unit count. I want lots of tanks and battlecopters. Battlecopters, of course, get very strong during Eagle Lightning Strike, 20% firepower and defense. So I want lots of battlecopters out, but I also want lots of cheap units for wall breaking, because that lightning strike is so powerful. Now here, my opponent, you can see he's building a lot of artillery this turn. He has 4 artillery out on the map. He even gets a little cheeky in the center here and goes for the interrupt, but then again, he just has to interrupt as much as he can, right? And he can do this because my bomber got pulled out of position. If my bomber was still there, he could not have done this, because the bomber takes out an Anti-Air by itself, and then I have tanks following it up. So he can only do this because my bomber is out of position. But you can see just so many artillery coming out for him right now. Artillery are good, especially as Colin, who struggles. And noticed something very important here. He tagged over to Sensei this turn. This was not an accident. I thought this was a misclick, but it actually wasn't. So I'll talk a little bit more about that, but first my point about the artillery. Artillery are very good. Inevitably, they're going to lock down the base. There's nothing you can do about it. But they're also very slow, right? He has to inch them forward slowly. If he goes too fast, then I will be able to wall break him and kill them, right? So these artillery, they're like a countdown, basically. In 4 or 5 turns, they're going to be on my base. And there's nothing I can do about that, right? But if I just build direct units, tanks, battlecopters, bombers, and backed up with some artillery support, I will statistically take this base faster than he can take this one, because artillery are slow. They're inevitable, but they're slow. So my idea here is to not go artillery, or not go as many as he does, and much rather actually just, you know, try to win via initiative, basically. Because if I can get this base 2 turns before he can, I will win by default, right? Now here, this is an important part of the matchup, because he tagged over to Sensei. I thought this was a mistake, but it isn't. He wants me to engage him right now. He wants me to attack into his Anti-Air right now, and I certainly could if I wanted to, right? But here's the thing, when you go up against Sensei, you don't want to give him early power charge. We actually had a discussion in the Grandmaster Discord whether or not it's acceptable for Sensei to sack a few battlecopters to get early copter command, and most of the Grandmasters agree that it's definitely a viable play. If Sensei can pop an early game copter command, like a turn 5 to 8 copter command, he gets like 15 extra infantry in the capture phase, which is pretty huge. That really adds up over the course of a match. So when you're playing against Sensei, you actually want to avoid early encounters with him as much as possible, until you can then get the big hits and get your power out. So here, I actually avoid him. I play very safe this turn. I do not engage him. I go for a few captures to kind of draw him away, but my bomber is now in position again, so he has to be very careful here. But I do not want to engage him this turn. And I'm building mechs on my weak side, because I'm going to build a lot more mechs. I think I build like 3 mechs or something, because I've resigned myself to the point that this base will fall eventually. I'm just going to build cheap units to try and delay it as much as possible, and then try to overrun him on the center. That's basically my game plan right here. And I continue just building lots of cheap units. I'm not really teching up. I just want a high unit count. And now you can see the slow creeping doom of artillery are coming towards me. And he can't really stay a sensei longer than this. Like, he can only really do it for a single turn. Every turn he's not calling, he's losing. But he does get a nice little Battlecopter hit on me right here, which is nice. And then he tags back to call in. Oh, now it actually says CO swap. It didn't do that before. Interesting. So here, I continuously, again, I'm just trying to keep his Battlecopters occupied. And I inch forward slowly. I'm just kind of waiting for the rest of my units to catch up. And I'm using the bomber and the T-copter as kind of shields against this Battlecopter. And I continue to build just lots of cheap units around here. I kind of resigned myself to the fact that he will get these properties. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not really going to try and contest them. So here, again, slowly inches forward, and he creates a big wall right now. And again, slow artillery, creeping forward. Like you can see, it's like a constrictor snake, just constricting around me. And he goes for the Battlecopter engagement. And he continues to build a lot of units. There, finally, the fighter comes out, but I had actually predicted this. I was like, he's going to build a fighter there, but I have a bit of an idea, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I want you to look at this battlefield and tell me, do you see any good place right here? Because I'm still pretty far off Merchant Union. I'm not going to get it. But I was playing a little around in the move planner, and I was able to find, in my opinion, a pretty decent attack here that I don't think my opponent really predicted. Because I want to kill this artillery right here. I really want to kill this artillery, but it's hard to kill this artillery because it's protected by this tank, and I can't wall break it with my bomber. Like, there's no way to get through here, right? But what I can do, if I get a power boost, it will kill in one hit. So I played around a little bit. I think it took me about an hour in move planner, and then I came up with this little attack, which I am very proud of. So I start off by taking a bunch of engagements. Battlecopter on Battlecopter. This is just for power charge. I go tank into tank. Another tank into tank. You can see I am 25,590 out of 27,000 right here. I go in with my tank. And because of the power boosts, this bomber will now one-shot this tank, and I get an artillery base locking him immediately on day 9, which is pretty early. I even go for some extra infantry engagements to pop Barter. Hachi's normal power, seldom seen, but right here it ended up being perfect for me. I have 44k in the bank. This allows me to kill the tank, and it allows me to take down that pesky arty. Now, you may look at this and you may think, well, Mangs, isn't it easy? Couldn't he potentially get through here and attack your bomber? Well, yeah, he could, absolutely. But I have another I have another card up my sleeve, so to say. This allows me to get a lot of captures this turn, but it also allows me to get a couple cool things out. So, first and foremost, it lets me build a carrier for 15,000, and this carrier now protects all my Battlecopters against this fighter. It also lets me get another Battlecopter, a Neotank, more artillery. Just a lot of bang for my buck, basically. Now, you may have noticed that it skipped ahead right now. This is the bug I told you about. For some reason that I'm not really sure, day 10 of Big Joe's turn just got eaten up by the site. So, right here, this is his turn, and then, boom, it just skips ahead. I don't know why. I have no idea why this happened. I tried to contact the admins, they didn't know. Maybe it just got corrupted or something, but for some reason, right here, it just skips his turn. So, but I'll talk about what he did. So, I was very scared of a Power of Money here, honestly. I thought he was going to pop Power of Money and just go ham, because with 46k in the bank, that's what, 180, 160% for a 12? Yeah, for 46,280 times 3. 138.8% firepower increase, right? That's pretty significant. I think that's if he pops, I'm pretty sure if he pops Power of Money, I think his tanks one-shot mine for sure. Oh yeah, easily. Easily. I mean, just look at that. It's like one-shot Arama over here. Yeah. Easily, easily, easily. Even his infantry against my infantry, I'm pretty sure it's a one-shot. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh my god, is he actually going to pop Power of Money? But he didn't pop Power of Money. Instead, he actually played rather defensively this turn. He did attack my bomber with the anti-air, and he did build a mega tank, which is roughly what I expected that he would do. And then he did tag over to Sensei. So next turn, we're going to get a Copter Command, or maybe even a an airborne assault. Just lots of mechs on the map everywhere. But if you look at my power charts, ladies and gentlemen, this bomber was actually a bait. So I wanted him to attack this bomber, because I knew this would fill up my power bar really quickly. I popped Barter, but I didn't stay as Hachi. Instead, I tagged over to Eagle. This allows my power charge to continue generating on my opponent's turn. This is a very important thing to remember about COs in tag battles. If you tag after a power, you do lose the day-to-day bonuses, but you also allow your other CO to start filling up their power meter. There's an even more important aspect of this. Hachi, whenever he uses his power, his units are actually worth 50% less power. But if you swap over to another CO, they are worth 100% again. This means that you don't lose out on any power charge. So here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm 3 stars away from my power. I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't even move planner this, because I was absolutely confident this turn was going to be slaughter either way. So I started up the move planner, and then like 5 minutes into my move planner session, I was like, there's no point in this. I do not need to move planner this at this point. Like, this is just too easy, man. like I literally was just playing live at this point. I was just moving. And look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. The Eagle Carrier, ladies and gentlemen. The Eagle Carrier. And I built a bunch of units. And then, Lightning Strike. Now, you may think, oh man, Eagle's such a bad naval commander, am I right? No way his carriers are going to do that. Nah, they still one-shot, even with minus 30%. So Eagle carriers can move and shoot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, wisely, he did actually position his fighter outside my carrier range, but I still got a Vatacopter out of it, which I thought was kind of funny. But it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. At this point, like, see just how broken this combo is. You see how broken this combo is? Like, again, I didn't even move planner this. And you can see I actually kind of played suboptimally. I didn't kill this infantry. I could have had a lock around this base if I did it correctly. But I did lock down the harbor, which I was pretty happy about. But it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, just look at this slaughter right here. I mean, look how much damage I'm dealing. I'm even winning on my weak side. So, yeah. Instant resign. Yeah. This, yeah. This feels kind of unfair. I don't know if this can be beaten, honestly. We did see Kill Me First counter this with double Olaf, which I think might be a way to do it. But, yeah. This Hachi Eagle, man. Hachi Eagle is a disgusting combo. I really don't know how you beat this. Because that Lightning Strike comes so fast in high funds, and it's powered up. Like, screw a Merchant Union Lightning Strike. Barter Lightning Strike is more than good enough to win the game, in my opinion. Like, barter just to get some extra units out, and then you pop Lightning Strike immediately after. Boom, you're dead. I think Hachi... I think Colin Sensei is a good combo, but not against this particular matchup. It's a good combo if you're playing a less aggressive matchup, I think. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm currently in round 2 right now, where I am... I think the next match is going to be Nell Sami versus Max Sami, which is going to be an interesting tag as well. But my opponent is much stronger in round 2, so we'll see how that goes. I'll cast it if it's a good match. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Keep submitting replays at mangsawbwreplays@gmail.com. I shall see you guys next time. Skaboosha!